Charles Pellegrin reporting there. And that subject, we're going to carry on with it, actually, because lots about the British Prime Minister's talks in Brussels today in the French newspapers. David Cameron, of course, trying to get EU leaders to agree to the deal that he's renegotiated on Britain's relationship with the EU. Claire Williams is here today with us with the press reviews, Claire.
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, well, we can start with Libération's front page today. Tu veux ou tu veux pas? That's the headline on that. You want or you don't want. For anyone familiar with French pop music, this is actually a play on the title of a very well-known song from the 1970s. Brigitte Bardot did her own version as well. Yeah. Libération basically likens the Brexit question to this song because the lyrics are, if you want me, that's good. If you don't, it's okay. And the song goes on to say, you're hot and cold with me. I never know what you want. But I think basically Libération was trying to say, Britain is playing games, and if it wants to leave the EU, well, it should just go ahead and leave. If you open up Libération, have another play on words, this time, faut-il filer les Anglais? Now, filer à l'anglaise is a French expression, which means to leave a place in a hurry. Actually, in English, you can say take French leave, and that's an old-fashioned English expression as well. Libération has a nice two-way conversation inside its papers today saying there are 5 reasons why we should be happy if the British leave the EU. And to balance things out, it's got the 5 reasons why we shouldn't be happy. But the overall argument clearly in Libération today is if Britain wants to leave, the EU shouldn't try too hard to make it stay.
Yeah, you found something in Le Figaro, though, which is the right-wing newspaper here. They seem quite keen, actually, to wave Britain goodbye, don't they?
Yes, no, Le Figaro is even more keen than Libération to wave Britain goodbye. It's a right-wing paper, as we know. The editorial from the French economist Philippe Chalmin, Messieurs les Anglais, sortez les premiers. Basically, English, after you. You leave first. He accuses Britain of chantage, and that's blackmail. He says Britain's been blackmailing the EU for decades. And now we've really reached a little crux in that blackmailing policy that Britain's had towards the EU for all this time. The policy is retenez-moi ou je divorce. Hold on to me or I'll divorce you. That's Britain's view when it comes to the EU, according to Le Figaro. It also published an interesting article by Edouard Tréteau, who argues that Paris, the city of Paris, would actually benefit from Britain leaving the EU. He says Paris could take over from London as Europe's financial centre. He says the city of London would basically lose all the advantages it has with Europe, the trading advantages it has with Europe, if it leaves the EU. And Paris could swoop on in and claim the title as Europe's financial heart.
Okay, kick us out, says the Figaro, by the sound of it there. What about the communist paper, L'Humanité? What are they saying?
L'Humanité is taking, as it often does, a more social approach. It's basically saying David Cameron's attempts to reduce benefits for migrants when they come into the UK is really bad news for Europe. It sets a precedent because basically if Britain can renegotiate this, well, then other countries are going to want to as well. L'Humanité calls Cameron's policies unfair and ultra-liberal. And that's the same kind of policies the paper's saying behind rumours that the government in France might be looking towards relaxing this 35-hour working week. Now, it's a sacred 35...
Very controversial.
Very controversial indeed. The Minister of Work, Myriam El Khomri, says it's not going to happen. Don't you worry. The 35-hour week won't be touched. You can read a really interesting interview with her in Les Echos. That's the business paper. Next month, she's actually going to be outlining all of her new business policies. Now, they are pro-growth, they're pro-competitiveness, they're pro-job creation. But, she says, don't you worry, they are not going to hurt workers, and they will certainly not hurt the 35-hour working week.
Yeah, I suspect if it did, there may be a few strikes here in France. Now, finally, Claire has got a different story for us. This is a story about a French rapper who rather got himself into trouble, hasn't he?
He certainly has. Orelsan is his name. 5 feminist associations have taken Orelsan to court. His songs include lines like, as if it's my fault all women are prostitutes. And woman, I could make you have a baby and break your nose at the same time.
Ooh, charming.
Yes. The feminist groups are arguing if you just replace the word woman with racist, a homophobic or an anti-Semitic word, well, then you would have had outrage and you would have been straight in court. So we're waiting for Orelsan's verdict later on today.
OK, we shall follow that, no doubt, here on France 24. Thank you very much, Claire. That's Claire looking through the newspapers for us. The French newspapers. She'll be back with the international ones in a couple of hours' time here on France 24.